So hello and welcome once again to Kaju Samyuzang Edinburgh and to the Reign of Wisdom, which this session will be the last one of this series anyway. But before that, let's set our minds well and we'll say the prayers, the introductory prayers, which will be the prayers to the supplication to the root Guru, the root Lama, followed by the lineage prayer. O glorious, precious root Lama, above my head on a lotus moon seat, you care for me with great kindness. Please bestow the siddhis of body, speech, and mind. Great Vajradharati Lunaro Marpamila Dharma Lord Gampopa, knower of the 3 times, omniscient Karmapa, holders of the 4 elder and 8 younger lineages, Drikantaklang and the Salpa, glorious Drukpa, and so forth, masters of the profound path of Mahamudra, to the Dakpo instruction lineage, the peerless protectors of wanderers. Kaju Lamas, I supplicate you, I uphold your lineage. Grant the blessings of your liberating lives. Just as revulsion is taught to be the legs of meditation, this meditator clings not to food and riches, and has severed the ties to worldly life. Grant your blessings for detachment from honor and gain. Just as devotion is taught to be the head of meditation, this meditator constantly prays to the Lama, who opens the vault of pith instructions. Grant your blessings for uncontrived devotion to well-born. Just as non-distraction is taught to be the body of meditation, this meditator simply remains without altering the fresh essence of whatever thought arises. Grant your blessings for parting from the concept of meditation. Just as thought is taught to be in essence Dharmakaya, for this meditator unhindered manifestation dawns. Nothing whatsoever dawning as whatever may appear. Grant your blessings to realize inseparable samsara nirvana. May I never in future lives part from authentic lamas, and embracing ever the glory of Dharma. May I perfect the qualities of the levels and paths, and thus swiftly attain the state of Vajradhara. So I thought, because this is the last session, I would jump a few centuries and go to a modern master. I think it's important to, because the songs that in the Reign of Wisdom, from whenever that they were, they're all by highly realized masters. But these things are not just the things of the past. You know, if we always we're talking about Milarepa, or we're talking about the earliest Karmapa, or Dorje, or Dorje, and that's all wonderful. And the ancient songs and wisdom is still as fresh as it ever was. But I think it's also important to realize that there are modern masters, and one of the most supreme has to be the 16th Karmapa. So the 16th Karmapa, his name is Karmapa Rangjung Rikpe Dorje. So he's, I didn't have the good fortune to meet him, but I know many people that have, especially, of course, Akam Rinpoche, Lama Yeshe Rinpoche, Sicha Rinpoche, all of these teachers that I've had as teachers, which has been my great good fortune, were his pupils. So the line is very direct, and it's really worth bearing that in mind, so that we're not just only talking about the distant past, but right here, right now. And he was also of course, he was the supreme head of the Karmakaju lineage, as the 17th Karmapa, the current Karmapa is. But the 16th Karmapa was at the time when Akam Rinpoche was younger, and same with Chogyam Trungpa. Unfortunately, neither of them are currently alive, but they're very much alive and with us in terms of their teachings and their mind, because the mind is not something that dies. So you can still contact them through that if you're open. But the reason I mentioned Chogyam Trungpa in particular is because, as you may remember, the Reign of Wisdom was curated and compiled by Mikyo Dorje, who was the 8th Karmapa. But of course, there's many songs and many realized masters that came after him. So this has been the work of Chogyam Trungpa, was to compile some of their songs. So from the 8th Karmapa onwards to the 16th Karmapa. And so that's why we're going to be looking at one of his songs. So let's have a look. Also, it's worth mentioning that the 16th Karmapa came to Samyeling. Before it was properly Samyeling, it was just some land and a house, and he was very instrumental in helping it to come to fruition. A lot of it was his vision, in fact, and so of course it was Akam Rinpoche and Chogyam Trungpa who came to England and then to Scotland, and who found the place and the property, and then they invited him over, and then he was very influential in how it developed. And I think he came twice, in fact. And so one thing we should also remember is, as with all the songs by these liberated masters, they're called songs of liberation because they're from a liberated standpoint. So their view is from a liberated standpoint. So we are not yet liberated, but we're on our way, hopefully we're on a journey. So, don't worry if you don't get everything. And even the things that you do get, you will only get on a certain level, and then as time goes by, and if you put the effort in, then more will be revealed, more will be discovered of your own true nature. But this is a wonderful guide to have, and I find them very inspirational. But the other thing that we should remember is that although we held these lamas in great reverence and great, sacred people, they are very self-effacing. And so when they introduce themselves, they speak of themselves in kind of like, you think, oh, well, they don't sound that great, maybe, but they're very, very modest, because they hold their teachers high as we do. So in relative to that, they put themselves, they're very humble. I don't think that there's something wrong with them if you hear about that. So first of all, let's just introduce the chapter, which, now it doesn't say who wrote this, but I suspect it would have been Chogyam Trungpa, because he's introducing it. Namo Gurave. Praise to the supplication of the Guru. Rangjung Rikpe Dorje, that's the 16th Karmapa, is the greatest of the great noble ones and the holiest of the holy. Primordially, he is the father of the victorious ones of the 3 times. Although he is fully enlightened, he has appeared for the benefit of the untamable savages of this dark age, us, in the form of the supreme Nirmanakaya, the Vajracharya. He has taken up the burden of performing splendid benefit for the teachings of beings. He knows and sees the meaning of all Dharma and non-Dharma without exception, and is replete with inconceivable good qualities. This refuge of beings, this glorious holy Guru, whose name is difficult to utter, is the one known as Orgyen Rangjung Rikpe Dorje Lungtung Churki Nima Chinle Tundra Trup. He was right, it was quite difficult to utter. But that's his full name. And then he says he sang this Vajra song. So we see Chogyam Trungpa as a great master, but he holds the 16th Karmapa in such high regard. Now we're coming to an introduction to the song by Rangjung Rikpe Dorje. So this is by the Karmapa and he's just introducing the teaching. They're all teachings, but they come in song form. But I don't know the melody, and even if I did, I don't think I would be bold enough to attempt it. So Rangjung Rikpe Dorje wrote, "Not even a mere fraction of the virtues resembling those of the Kagyu Guru forefathers are seen in me, a bad son." I did warn you. Nevertheless, because the oral instructions of the glorious holy Gurus are so powerful, it is impossible not to obtain a little certainty in them. And so I offer this melodious Vajra song to please the Gurus and the Dakinis. So right there you can see the complete contrast between the way Chogyam Trungpa talks about him and the way he talks about himself. You would not think it was the same person. Anyway, so now we'll look at the song itself. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read the whole thing through without stopping, just to get a sense of it, and then we'll go back and look at it in more detail. Namo Gurave. The Father Guru, who is the embodiment of the 3 roots, dwells in the center of my heart, the realm of Chitta. Toward the Guru, who is always the essence of the Trikaya, devotion of the 3 kinds of faith arises. However, in this wheel of confusion, of fixation on permanence, the root of the 3 realms is not cut. Because of this, sentient beings, myself and others, are enveloped in this great darkness of ignorance. The Guru bestows the means of dispelling this. The good body of the 18 freedoms and favorable circumstances is like a bubble, impermanent and uncertain. Although one knows this, one becomes more and more savage. Father Guru, by your compassion, the confusion and ignorance of myself and other sentient beings is destroyed. Karma, its cause and effect, is inevitably experienced. It ripens accordingly as one takes up or abandons virtue or evil deeds. Thinking of this, I feel compassion towards all our fathers and mothers. Because we are ignorant, tightly fixated on permanence, we are fettered by our own deeds. In this prison, where black and white are distinguished, it is certain that the fruits of all one's actions will ripen in oneself. Think of this, all sentient beings are old mothers, and do not misunderstand the different causes and their effects. Sit freely in the place of the three solitudes and practice strenuously in both body and speech. If you do this, the kindness of the Guru is beyond near and far. Each cause brings forth its respective effects. When one realizes the essence of the two truths, the nature of all sentient beings of the three realms is seen not to differ from this. In the unfabricated perfection of one's mind, the net of the three realms is unraveled by self-luminosity. One's innate nature, uncorrupted by conceptual mind, is the body of the Guru, the play of self-existing space. Not attached to the extreme of either emptiness or luminosity, it spontaneously manifests as the essence of the four kayas. This experience is called the Guru and one's mind. But even this is just a name. It is impossible to show it as one extreme. From this truth, yearning arises. From this yearning, bodhicitta is aroused. Samsara, the three realms of our mothers, is shaken from its depths. May the 1,002 Buddhas of the three times, by the true power of the vow of their non-conceptual mind, make manifest instantaneously the kingdom of Dharmakaya, which transcends the intellect, and may they liberate all sentient beings in this essence. So, there's a lot in there, which is why I thought we'll just do one song and concentrate, and then we'll do a shorter colophon by Chogyam Trungpa. So there's so much to think about and reflect on and meditate on. This is such a wonderful song because every line of it, every word of it, but every verse of it you can use it for your practice, and don't rush it. You need to do maybe one verse at a time, because there's so much in there. So it will bear a lot of investigation, a lot of reflection, and a lot of meditation if you really want to understand it. Not just the words, but the meaning in the words of Tilopa's sister. So Namo Gurave is paying homage to the Guru. The Father Guru, who is the embodiment of the three roots, dwells in the center of my heart, the realm of Chitta. So this is his homage to the root Guru, his root Guru, and who he sees as the embodiment of the three roots. So the three roots, do you know what the three roots are? You know what the three jewels are? Three jewels are Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And the three roots, Lama, Yidam, and protectors. So they are the roots, and the three jewels are the shoots, if you like, or the jewels. But they are a mirror image of one another, really. Not in terms of appearance, but in terms of importance, you could say, or essence. In Vajrayana, we very, very much need to know about the three roots. That's what differentiates it from even Mahayana. So the Father, who is the embodiment of the three roots, so that Lama, whoever your root Lama is, we're talking from his point of view, dwells in the center of my heart, the realm of Chitta. Chitta, I think, means love, loving kindness. And, in our tradition, that's how we think of the Lama, that's how we feel the Lama, not just think, but feel the Lama in your heart. And then there are times when, doing one's practice or different times, you might think of the Lama above your head. And then when you're going about your activity, so that you're kind of influenced by the Lama. But then at night when you lie down, it's advised to think of the Lama coming back down to rest in your heart chakra. So with you throughout, day and night. So towards the Guru, who is always the essence of the Trikaya, the three bodies of the mind of the Buddha, towards the Guru, who is always that essence, devotion of the three kinds of faith arise. So there are three kinds of faith that are sort of kind of described as being, the first one is the faith of interest. First of all, you need to be interested in something, don't you? Otherwise you don't go beyond that point. So you have to have enough faith at least to be interested, that kind of faith. Then when you delve deeper, there arises a kind of yearning, a longing to investigate more, to know more, to feel more, to understand more. So that becomes a longing. And we're talking about, towards the Guru, because first of all, you had enough faith to be interested in what the Guru had to say. Then when you start to appreciate the Guru, you start to have some understanding of who that is and how precious. Then this sort of longing, wanting to be like the Guru. I remember when I very, very first met Akon Rinpoche, I knew nothing about Buddhism, nothing at all. But I was at Samiling, I was teaching Qigong or something, and I stayed behind because I was interested. So I guess I had a bit of faith enough to be interested. And then somebody said you can have a meeting with, get an introduction. So I did, but I had no experience at all. And but I remember the feeling that I had was, wow. He was extraordinarily ordinary and incredibly impressive because of that. Not trying to impress, just natural. But there was something about his presence in which I found myself being very happy. But apart from that, I just felt, I want to be like him. I want to be like you. That's what I was thinking. So I think that's this, when you meet somebody you feel that towards, and then you want to be like them. And so then, so that's the kind of longing to want, but then you also need the trust, and that's the third kind of faith. Now they say when you meet the Lama, or when you're looking for a Lama or anything like that, I didn't know I was looking for a Lama, but I did know when I met him. But it's different for everybody, and how it happened for me is not what's recommended. You're supposed to really investigate them over a long period of time. But for me it wasn't like that. So, of course, I did move to Samiling, and then I did get to know Rinpoche over a long period of time. But it bore out my first impression, and a lot more besides. So, but anyway, that's the three kinds of faith. First, the interest, then the longing, the wanting to know more, to be closer or whatever, and then really the trust, the strong trust. The trust becomes faith, actually. You trust to some degree that you have faith, real faith. However, So devotion of the three kinds of it becomes devotion. Not something tacked on or because you think it should be, because you've heard the word devotion and you tack it on because it sounds nice or whatever. It arises as devotion. It's, you know. So anyway, however, in this wheel of confusion, it's talking about samsaric life. This is what we're all in the realm of samsara. Of course, samsara is a state of mind. It's not fixated in a place. It's a state of ignorance, basically, to a greater or lesser degree. So it's a state of confusion. It's a wheel of confusion. So we've looked into this in the previous teachings on the four preliminaries and many teachings. So in this wheel of confusion, of fixation on permanence, the root of the three realms is not cut. So even though we have devotion, but because we're in this confused state of mind, in this wheel of confusion, fixation on it, we know about impermanence, we've meditated on it, we've studied it, we've recognized it in our own lives. People we know have died, and we know all of this, but we still fixate on it. We still have this feeling of permanence. You know, a bit less maybe than how it was before, but still, it's like a habit we can't break. It's so deeply entrenched. What if, for example, this was the first lifetime that we had looked at these things, and maybe it's not, this is the first time that we've looked at impermanence and what it actually means. So then, again, you think, okay, well, I've studied that, I've done it, I've done that for the four immeasurables and the four preliminaries, and I've done them several times, so I should know by now, you know. But you've got lifetimes, hundreds of millions of lifetimes when you didn't know about it. You hadn't got that understanding. So it's a long haul. You can't break that kind of habit like that. Well, eventually it will be like that, but only with a lot of work that precedes it. So that's why the root of the three realms is not cut. And because of this, sentient beings, myself and others, are enveloped in the great darkness of ignorance. And ignorance comes in many forms. The first way out of ignorance is to understand that you're ignorant. And then you can start to, it says, enveloped in the great darkness of ignorance. Sometimes I think of it like a prison of our own making, of our own lack of understanding. And so we need to understand ignorance in order to get out of it. Not to get further enmeshed in it, but to be able to understand it, and in that understanding, escape from it, get out of it. The Guru bestows the means of dispelling this. So through the Guru's teachings and words and instructions, they bestow the ways of getting out, some of the ways of getting out of this, but of course it's entirely up to us. We not entirely, but up to us as well. So however many teachings we go to and however many wonderful songs we sing and read, if we don't study them and really get to understand and apply them in our own lives, then it's just, you might as well be reading the dictionary. Maybe that's a little harsh, but you know, it's we have to put the effort in. There's no other way. The Buddha, many lifetimes. So the Guru bestows the means of dispelling this. That Guru will give you instruction and direction and keep you on track, but that he can't do it for you. It's your mind, you're open. You have to be. But the first thing is to have the faith. in the Guru. This good body of the 18 freedoms and favourable circumstances is like a bubble, impermanent and uncertain. And this harks back again to the four preliminaries and precious human life. So I think you've done this before. If you haven't, then you should do it. But go into it in depth with the torch of certainty as your guide. So the different freedoms and favourable circumstances that make it not just a human life, but a precious human life. However, even though we've got this precious human life, with all its good qualities and opportunities, nevertheless, it's like a bubble, impermanent and uncertain. You never know how long you're going to be around for. The younger person could die before the older person. We could die tomorrow, we could die in a year, we could die in 10 years. But one thing's for sure, we're going to die. So having, with whatever our good karma has been to give us this opportunity of a good human life, not one that's in very tough circumstances, relatively well endowed with opportunities to study the Dharma, to study, meditate. So because we know that it's impermanent and uncertain, we really need to use it well. However, although one knows this, one becomes more and more savage. Even we know this. We know it up here. We've read it. We've said the words. Words have been spoken to us, maybe multiple times. So on some superficial level, we know it. But we don't really know it. We don't know the meaning. If we knew the meaning, our behavior would really drastically alter. Our understanding would be open. So, Father Guru, by your compassion, the confusion and ignorance of myself and other sentient beings are destroyed. Confusion and ignorance. By the compassion, through the compassion of the Guru. So we do need to have a root Guru, to hearken to their words. And as I said before, even if your root Guru has died, his mind is still around. It's not gone anywhere. So you can still, of course, it's wonderful if they're not, if they are around and you can have that personal contact, physical presence. But the important part is the mind, isn't it? That's where opening arises. So if you sit and you pray to the Guru, supplicate the Guru will answer. If you're open, the Guru's blessings are there. Again, I refer to Karmapa. He told me once, he said, the Guru's blessings are always there. They don't get switched on and off. But it's whether you're open to receive them. If you're switched on, the Guru's blessings are already there. If you're not, they're not. So it's up to us. And then we go on to another of the four foundations, the topic of karma. So karma, its cause and effect, is invariably experienced. Whatever your karma is, it will be experienced, whether it's pleasant karma or unpleasant karma, according to whatever actions you've done. Karma means actually actions. So according to your actions, the result will be experienced. It ripens accordingly as one takes up or abandons virtue or evil deeds. So if you take up and adopt evil deeds, you can imagine your karma is going to be pretty bad, really unpleasant. if you take up virtue and do virtuous deeds, then your karma will be pleasant and positive. I mean, of course, there's a lot more to karma than that, but that's the sort of basic way of understanding it. So, and thinking of this, I feel, this is Rangjung Rikpe Dorje speaking, I feel compassion towards all our fathers and mothers. So that means not just our fathers and mothers in this lifetime, but all the previous fathers and mothers that we've had in previous lives. So hundreds and thousands of mothers and fathers. It means all beings, basically. Because he thinks about the inevitability of experiencing the fruits of our actions, whether they're good or bad, he feels compassion towards all those sentient beings because we are ignorant. And because we're ignorant and we're tightly fixated on permanence, we think this is going to last forever, we are fettered by our own deeds. We're imprisoned by our own actions. And the actions come about because of our wrong views, our wrong way of understanding, our wrong thinking, our ignorance. The body doesn't act on its own. It doesn't think, right, or it does think, it doesn't, but it's not the body that thinks. The body doesn't murder somebody or steal something without first being instructed by the mind, the ignorant mind, the mind that's still in the swamp of ignorance. So we are fettered, we're imprisoned by our own deeds. In this prison, where black and white are distinguished, it is certain that the fruits of all one's actions will ripen in oneself. Certain. There's nothing haphazard about it. We don't realize that because sometimes we might steal something and get away with it. We think we've got away with it. According to the law and the police and all of that, we may have got away with it. But we haven't got away from the karma of it. Because karma is a law, not like the law with an A, but the law with an O, O-R-E, like the law of gravity. You know, you can't, what goes up must come down. So with karma, the results will be experienced. The thing that makes it quite tricky is that they don't necessarily happen straight away. So you might, in 2 or 3 lifetimes, be experiencing the result of some karma that you have not in your memory bank because it's several lifetimes ago. So you don't have any remembrance of it, and that's true whether it was good or bad. I would say good or bad, skillful or unskillful. So it's not an easy thing to understand, but if all these high masters are saying the same thing, you can pretty much take it as true. And also, if you look into your own life, some things you do experience quite instant karma. In a way that can be quite helpful, not always pleasant, but can be quite helpful because you can see the connection. But sometimes you can't. It's a lot longer to bear fruit. So it's through the compassion of the Lama, you know, that they put themselves out for us, that they actually, it's their raison d'être, it's their reason for being, is to help all beings out of this state of ignorance. And that should be our motivation as well. When we get that, well, we can working towards it. So, think of this. All sentient beings are old mothers, and do not misunderstand the different causes and their effects. So here I think he's actually addressing these sentient beings, our old mothers. Think of this, all sentient beings, everyone should think of this, our old mothers, us, and do not misunderstand the different causes and their effects. You do something negative, the result will be negative. You do something positive, the results will be positive. But there's a lot more finessing that. But that's really in a nutshell. And so how to do this? So here comes the advice. Sit freely in the place of the three solitudes and practice strenuously in both body and speech. So sit freely, sit naturally in the place of the three solitudes. He's not talking about a particular temple or a place in that sense, but the place of the three solitudes means on your own, solitary, body in body, so on your own, in speech, so you're not talking to anybody, and in mind, you're not being distracted. In other words, you're on your own, sitting freely, naturally, and then practice strenuously. Don't just sit for a half an hour and that'll be good. Strenuously, you need to put some effort. That doesn't mean to say you need to be uptight. You should be relaxed, sitting freely, but diligent. If you do this, the kindness of the glorious Guru is beyond near and far. This is what I was saying. The Guru doesn't have to be near you. It's not a matter of geography, or even of life and death, because that also knows no geographical boundary. It's beyond near and far. If you're sitting freely and practicing with heart. It's beyond near and far. And each cause brings forth its respective effects. So whatever the cause is, the effect, the result of it will be according to whatever that cause or action was. No more, no less. When one realizes the essence of the two truths, do you know what the two truths? Relative truth and ultimate truth. So relative truth is the relative truth that we kind of have some understanding of, but we have in common, the general sort of way of understanding things. But then we're working towards ultimate understanding, ultimate truth, which we're not there yet, but we're working towards that. So when one realizes the essence of both of them, the two truths, the nature of all sentient beings of the three realms is seen not to differ from this. So ultimately, the nature of all sentient beings is the same, is the two truths, has two modes of truth, is that. When one realizes the essence. Before that, no. And it's hard to get your head around because we're not there yet. But at least to acknowledge the possibility and to see that the nature of all sentient beings of the three realms is no different to the two truths. It's not different. It is the two truths, basically. In the unfabricated perfection of one's mind, so the natural, uncontrived perfection of one's mind, the net of the three realms is unraveled by self-luminosity. In other words, it's within us all. the net of the three realms is unraveled by inner light. The enlightenment doesn't like shining light comes from outside and beams on you. It's from within. So, if we can even just imagine something and then work towards it, because one thing you can definitely trust is the words of the Karmapa. So he's already there, so he's explaining how he is. We can only imagine at this time, but it's something to work towards. One's innate nature, our inborn nature, not something from outside, our innate nature, uncorrupted by conceptual mind, is the body of the Guru, the play of self-existing space. But what are we like? We're just in a ball of concepts all the time. So it's actually unraveling all, it's like in a ball of woolly concepts. Because of our intellectual understanding and thinking that's it, and it isn't. It's just adding more concepts. So really we need to go beyond all that way of seeing. And access our innate nature. It's not something from outside or a load of facts and information that we read in a book or something like that. It's within us. But to get there, we need the help of somebody else who has got there. So like the Buddha, or the our root guru, or any of the gurus who are helping us along the way. Just let the ambulance go by, or whatever it is. One's innate nature, uncorrupted by conceptual mind, is the body of the Guru, the play of self-existing space. And when we have some glimpse of our innate nature, that's oh, I want to be like you. If you touch that, that's the same as the Guru. That is the Guru. That's what you were interested in the Guru for in the first place. That's what drew you to the Guru, is not understanding it, but kind of drawn towards it. How do you get to be like that? At least that's my understanding. That isn't saying much, but that's how I feel about it. That's how I think about it. That's how I feel about it, actually. So that is one's innate nature. It is that. It is the body of the Guru, the play of self-existing space. It's the space that's there anyway. You don't need to put something in it or take something out of it. Not attached to the extreme of either emptiness or luminosity. So don't go overboard and say, "Oh, luminosity! Well, I need to get more luminous," or I really need to find emptiness. So then that's making it into a concept again. You're not actually experiencing it. So not attached to the extreme of either emptiness or luminosity. It spontaneously manifests as the essence of the four kayas. The four kayas. These are if you think of it in terms of the way the Buddha or the Lama, let's say the Buddha exists. So the Buddha, when the Buddha was incarnate on this earth, that and seeable, touchable flesh, that would be the Nirmanakaya form of the Buddha, the physical form of the Buddha. Then we have the Sambhogakaya, which is another form of the Buddha, but not a flesh form, not a physical earthly form, but is visible to those who are on a great bodhisattvas or have a high level of realization, maybe not full Buddhas, but certainly have a very high level of realization. And those when you see the Buddha depicted in statues or on tankas or paintings, or any of the great masters, then that would be the Sambhogakaya aspect. They look like princes, and they've got symbolic jewelry on and things like that. This actually, of course, this is the form of the Buddha behind me. Here is a statue, but it's the statue of the Buddha when he was incarnate. But the Sambhogakaya ones are more kind of like, like Chenrezig pictures over there, or they're more sort of princely. They have ornaments and things like that. And they are perceptible by people of high understanding. They can see those Buddhas, or that way of seeing Buddha, that kaya. And then, so we have the Dharmakaya. So that's the mind of the Buddha. So the mind of the Buddha is not a physical thing. so it doesn't really. Sometimes you can. I think you can't really say it's a visible thing. But maybe it's also kind of sometimes represented in a painting, like Vajradhara, Dorje Chang. He's often represented as being blue, but that's really to represent space. But if you put space, then you can't see anything at all. So if you're painting, then you put blue, like sky or something. So it's space. So it's not really like it doesn't have but we put it into physical form like that. And then if you have all of those kayas together, then that's the fourth one. So body, speech and mind all together in one. It's the same when we have the empowerments. Anyway, so those are the four kayas. So not attached to the extreme of either emptiness or luminosity, it spontaneously manifests within one as the essence of the four kayas, and this experience is called the guru and one's mind. So like when you have a practice where you receive the empowerments, then you sit with that kind of inseparability. You feel that you've received all of these different kayas, and with their enlightened understanding, and you become one. There's no separation. So this experience is called the guru and one's mind. But even this is just a name. In other words, there are no words to really express it, but we have some inkling. And he says here, it is impossible to show it as one extreme. The minute you define it, it's not that, because words can only go so far, and you can't really put it down into words exactly. You give some indication. So it's impossible to show it as one extreme. From this truth, yearning arises. When one has got some experience of this, from this truth, experiencing this truth, yearning arises, and from this yearning, bodhicitta is aroused. Bodhicitta is the selfless love for all, because once you understand and get some feeling of how things really truly are, then that, the compassion wells up in you, because all of this is our own making. And so with those beings, all of them, all of us, who are still bound up in confusion and ignorance, you want to help, you want to do something, you want to, not only for yourself, but for others, to, like, release the fetters of the prison. So, selfless love for all, bodhicitta is aroused. And when bodhicitta is aroused, samsara, the three realms of all our mothers and fathers and beings, is shaken from its depths by compassion. Not by aggression, it's not by the opposite, by compassion. That's the power of compassion. So without bodhicitta, there is no enlightenment, because it is intrinsic to enlightenment. It's what arises out of enlightenment. You wouldn't be enlightened if you didn't have the bodhicitta. And that's why the gurus are so precious. And that's why they want to help us. And that should be the motivation that we have for others. But in order to really, for it to blossom, we have to put the work in. May the 1,002 Buddhas of the three times, so all the Buddhas since beginning this time, by the true power of the vow of their non-conceptual mind, by the power of that vow, make manifest instantaneously the kingdom of Dharmakaya, which transcends the intellect. Because they vow, they take the bodhisattva vow to help and come to the aid of all beings, and by the power of that non-conceptual, it's not like, I think I'll do a good deed. It arises spontaneously. They are bodhicitta. That's what they're made of, And so by the power of that, make manifest instantaneously the kingdom of Dharmakaya, Buddha nature, Buddha mind, which transcends the intellect. It's beyond and above the intellect. And may they liberate all sentient beings in this essence. So that's that's that particular song. So that's why I didn't want to do a lot of songs, because there's just so much in there. And we've still only just scratched the surface, because it's still just words. We're still just talking words. We haven't actually done the practice. But it's a start. I think let's just have a sit for a few minutes and let that sink in a bit. Not just the words, but any feeling that might have arisen. So just perk your posture up and just sit naturally for a while. And just allow those words and the meaning to permeate your being. So that wasn't very long, but we've got some more to do. Okay, so, when you're practicing on your own, really you can just take one verse at a time and study it, and then just sit with it, not be focusing on the words, but the feeling that has arisen from the words. You study first, reflect, and then just sit and see what happens, experience it. Experience what is being spoken about to your own capabilities. You don't have to try to make something happen. It's whatever's there, And keep it simple. Keep it really simple. Don't start contriving. That's the thing that happens when we start to meditate. The words get in the way, So just allow yourself to discover yourself in a way. Anyway, but you have such wonderful guidance in that song. So now I thought we would just end this series with a song by Orgyen Trinley, who's compiled the rest of it. We've had songs from Rikpe Dorje, who compiled the first part of it. So I thought it would be fitting to end with. It's actually a colophon by Orgyen Trinley. And as you know, Orgyen Trinley and Akam Rinpoche were very, very close. They escaped from Tibet together. They set up Samye together. They were like Dharma brothers. Well, they were Dharma brothers. We still are. So this time I'm just going to read through it. I'll stop if need be, if there's any terms or anything but we won't be going through it, dissecting it quite in such detail. I think it's fairly understandable. Aho, precious Kagyu, forefather of 100 siddhas, you are the Amrita which dispels the mind's suffering. He's talking to the precious Dharma, the precious Lamas, precious Kagyu, and to his root Lama. You are the Amrita, the holy nectar, which dispels this suffering mind. You alone are the guide who leads one on the path of liberation. What joy that your profound, brilliant wisdom has entered my heart. So he's showing his joy and appreciation that, he feels so connected with his root Lama. This little one, he's talking about himself, this little one was born as your great-grandson. So it sounds as though his root Lama was his actual relative, his great-grandfather, and is sustained by your blessings alone. Grant your blessings so that I may attain the siddhi of being inseparable from you and be able to liberate all beings as you do. So he feels so close, he wants to be inseparable and just be able to liberate beings in the same way. From the ocean of your spontaneous, profound, secret Vajra songs, taking a small drop of its true meaning, I have translated, edited, and published this in the English language. So here I think he's talking about all the root gurus, all the gurus, from the ocean of your spontaneous, profound, secret Vajra songs, taking just a small drop of its true meaning. He's being quite modest there, but he's done his best. He's translated it, he's edited and published this in the English language. Well, aren't we lucky? May the stupid meditators, that's us, be awakened from the sleep of ignorance. May the attacks of the logicians with their sophistries be vanquished. That's not where it's at. I mean, Yeah. Because that's conceptual knowledge, and I'm not saying it doesn't have some sort of place in the world, but that's not the way to get enlightened. May the attacks of the logicians with their sophisms be vanquished. If you want to read more of it, read pretty much any song by Milarepa. In the space of the ground Mahamudra of luminous emptiness, traveling on the path Mahamudra of luminous insight, in the fruition Mahamudra of luminous bliss, may all beings of the three realms be liberated. So this is his aspiration, his good wishes for all beings. I mean, it's what it says in the space of the ground Mahamudra, luminous emptiness, traveling on the path Mahamudra of luminous insight, in the fruition Mahamudra of luminous bliss, emptiness, insight, bliss. May all the beings of the three realms be liberated in this. These are his aspirations. And may the plague, famine, and war of the dark age be pacified. Doesn't really need any explanation. We're full of it at the moment, aren't we? Well, I mean, the world's always full of it, but at the moment there seems to be more than usual plagues and wars everywhere. May the Dharma sun of the three yanas eternally rise. Three vehicles. The truth of the vehicles, the Dharma sun of the three vehicles, may they always rise. May they always rise. May the golden victory banner of the practice lineage be raised in 100 directions. So the banner of the Kagyu lineage, the practice lineage, be raised in 100 directions. May the authentic gurus live 100 kalpas. Kalpas are like eons, so immeasurable time. May all enjoy the perfect holy Dharma. May they attain the Dharmakaya, the Dharma mind of the Lord Guru Vajradhara, Dorje Chung, the Mahamudra of devotion. So it's through devotion, and that has to be a rise without artifice, without pretense, with it just naturally as a result of your trust, of the three faiths that we talked about. That's how it happens. And so this was written at the Dharma Assembly of Vajradhatu by Chukijatsu, that's his other name, who throughout many lives has been a servant of the precious Kagyu lineage. Mangalam, auspiciousness. So, we understand the words, yeah? There's nothing I can say more. I mean, I think everybody understands the words, but the meaning, again, we need to look into to really get the depth of the meaning, rather than just a superficial meaning. So those of you who have the book, you can look at this and any of the songs. They're all, you can't go wrong with any of them, but particularly as we're doing it as this study group that we've had for the last few months, then we need to concentrate on the song of the Rangjung Rikpe Dorje and also the colophon, because then we bring it right up to date, within our lifetime. So not just something from a fairy tale from the past, And it's up to us to make it, to bring it about, to make it real, to make it blossom. That's what all of this is about. All the teachings of the Buddhas, all the teachings in this book and many other books, and that's what it's about. So we have the instruction, it's up to us to put the work in, to put the effort in. It's not work exactly, It's for our own benefit and for the benefit of all sentient beings. And on that note, let's say our dedication. So it's the other side, the other side of the sheet of paper. And as this is the last one in the series, then let's say the full dedication. And we'll say it in English. Oh, by this merit may I obtain omniscience, defeat the enemy wrongdoing, and so free all beings from the ocean of existence, with its stormy waves of birth, aging, sickness, and death. Precious mind of awakening, may it arise in those who are without it, and never fade from those who hold it, but continually grow from strength to strength. May the glorious Lama's lotus feet be firm. May bliss and joy fill the reaches of space, as we gather the accumulations and purify obscurations. May I and all without exception be swiftly brought to Buddhahood. So thank you for your attention and presence, whether in person or virtual. Thank you one and all. And maybe we'll see you again soon for another. I'm not sure what's going to happen yet. I'm going to have some holiday time and see what occurs. Okay, thank you.